So as we have seen through this lecture, and particularly in the last segment, that there have been a wide range of ideas on what reforms and how to implement them in the late 19th and early 20th century Korea. So to wrap up, let's keep a few things in mind. As we summarize how foreign advisors and the roles that they played in Korea, we also need to keep in mind that Koreans actively took part and played a role in this reform process. So hopefully through this lecture you have seen and understand now the background of the dispatch of envoys to Japan, China, and the United States in the late 19th century. So after the signing of the 1876 treaty, which opened up Korea, the Joseon court decided to send envoys to these various countries to see and examine their self-strengthening movements, to see what changes they made, and to take a look at the United States, which was a rising superpower. However, because of these increasing outside influences, this also meant that the Qing dynasty wanted to strengthen its relationship with Joseon, and we saw as a result increasing interference. I also hope that you can see that there were different roles that foreign advisors played in Joseon, especially during their initial attempts at reform, and that also American missionaries and advisors had different ideas, and some of them were operating in an official way and others in an unofficial capacity. So American missionaries, because they were not dispatched by the American government, their activities in Korea generally focused on medical work and education.
Who are the envoys dispatched to foreign lands by the Joseon government? What role did they play in the government after they returned from their missions? How did their experiences in the foreign countries influence their activities?
So to summarize, as Western imperialist powers were encroaching on the area of East Asia from the mid-19th century, they were causing all kinds of disturbances in Qing China and in Japan. We know that both countries were subject to signing unequal treaties as a result of gunboat diplomacy, and the Joseon dynasty was taking a look at its neighbors and seeing all of these changes occur. So as China and Japan were being subjected to signing unequal treaties, they also acknowledged their vulnerabilities and that they needed to reform. And so this led to various self-strengthening movements both in China and in Japan. They approached change and reform in very different ways. And the Joseon dynasty was able to look at both of these models and to try to learn from them. In Qing China, Koreans were sent to the arsenal in Tianjin, and in Japan, there were envoys that were sent to Japan to take a look at all of their different changes, politically, economically, militarily, socially. And then there were also envoys that were sent to the United States and took a look at all of their different institutions, including their military academies, their schools, their postal service, their factories, and whatnot. Inspired by these trips and these missions abroad, Koreans returned to Korea and understood that they needed to bring in foreign advisors to help with their reforms and their programs of change. So a Japanese advisor, Horimoto Reizo, was brought in to help to modernize the military, and a new special skills force was established. Moellendorff was brought in to help with the trade and customs, and Allen was brought in, who established a Western-style hospital.